What's up, MBK family? My name is Bobby Belton, and I am one of the program coordinators for MBK Orlando. This year, we have taken a three-tiered approach to enhance our service model. The first phase centers on implementing our new comprehensive mentoring curriculum that focuses on image, integrity, influence, and impact. We currently serve over 300 youth and 150 young adults through our weekly individual and small group mentoring sessions. The second phase is to directly address systemic change in our local law enforcement and juvenile justice systems. My counterpart, Mike Scott, serves on the county's task force that will establish new procedures and protocols for how these government agencies handle youth prevention, intervention, prosecution, and enforcement. Finally, this summer, we are extremely excited to kick off our final portion of the model, providing funding, training, and other resources to small grassroots mentoring organizations through our new citywide grants initiative with the goal to educate, empower, and expand MBK Orlando. Once again, I'm Bobby Belton, and I am my brother's keeper.
Hi, my name is Jonathan McMillan, and I'm with MBK Denver and Be Better Than Average, here in the Mile High City. Since Denver became a MBK city, we've built a network of MBK 25, which is over 125 organizations, community-based organizations, that are a strong network to support our boys and young men of color and connect them to trusted adults, supports, and resources to help them get what they need to thrive. Additionally, we've had the SOS, or Summer of Success program, which has connected over 300 young men to employment and mentoring opportunities to help them grow emotionally and professionally. My name is Jonathan McMillan, and I am my brother's keeper.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Weaver with MBK San Antonio, the 7th largest city in the country and home to the San Antonio Spurs. In San Antonio, MBK efforts have led to the implementation of restorative justice practices across 9 campuses in 3 districts to disrupt the school-to-prison pipeline. And I am my brother's keeper.
Hola, from Puerto Rico. My name is Alana Feldman Soler, and I am the Loíza Alliance for Peace's Community Coordinator at the Puerto Rico Community Foundation, Fundación Comunitaria de Puerto Rico. In the last 2 years, our MBK Alliance has been effective at breaking down service barriers between local youth-serving organizations in order to collaborate towards our common goal, connecting youth with new life opportunities. I am my brother's and my sister's keeper.
Hi, my name is Sheena Judy Mitchell. I'm a senior management analyst, and I have the privilege of being the coordinator for My Brother's Keeper in the city of Las Vegas.
Hi, my name is Marcus Swing, and Maricopa Vista, working with the MBK in the city of Las Vegas.
Over the past several years, our MBK efforts have led to initiatives and legislation that provides equity and access in the city's economic landscape for some of our most underserved communities.
Also, our efforts have led to minimizing the digital divide within our underserved communities by putting Wi-Fi and computer access in the hand of families.
We are My Brother's Keeper.
Welcome to the final session of the MBK Leadership Forum. We hope that you form some new connections and feel refreshed and reinvigorated to take on the critically important work that lies ahead.
Thank you for that, Alejandro. Let's not forget today's event is about breaking barriers and building dreams. During our 2 days together, we've reflected on the dual crisis facing America, the COVID-19 pandemic and the ongoing racial reckoning. President Obama and social justice leaders shared some words of encouragement as thought leaders and practitioners have explored the new MBK equity framework as a tool to help you serve your communities and more. Let's hear from a few attendees today about what they've learned during this forum and reflect together on the impact we're having in the lives of boys, young men of color across the country for generations to come. Remember, we are our brother's keeper.
Thank you, Senegal. My name is Ray Green. Honored to be here. I'm representing My Brother's Keeper from Sacramento, California at the Center at Sierra Health Foundation. Good to see you, Alejandro, who's also an MBK fellow. So I just want to share some of my takeaways, and there's simply 2. The first is understanding what you speak, and the second is what you say. The first is speaking to the narrative change. For me, this was amazing because it provided not just inspirational, but practical steps. The first in narrative change is having the skill of asset framing. Framing how you introduce something is important and it matters. It's something I'm going to take back with me here and utilize here within our work, that we provide equity without stigma. So the first is aspirations, dreams, and talking about their aspirations as they want to move forward. And then speaking the problems that are in their way and allowing us to move those things. That leads to the second point for my takeaway is what you said is also important. We talk about centering youth, but we really dove deep in some of the breakouts about going beyond just youth listening sessions, going beyond just having advisory boards, but actually creatively and intentionally creating an infrastructure that purposefully prepares and provides informed youth to speak their lived experiences, possible decisions, and have decision-making abilities throughout the entire collective work. So we are MBK Sacramento. I'm Ray Green, and I am my brother's keeper.
Hello, my name is Angela Waters Austin, and I am representing MBK Michigan. And we are excited to join you from One Love Global, where I'm the CEO, and also from BLM Michigan. I'm joining you also as the new Director of Policy and Operations for Black Lives Matter Grassroots, which is our global formation. And what I have been listening to for the past 2 days is a common theme around youth organizing and how we as adults can actually be really powerful allies to support youth and actually transforming policy and systems and all of the structures and barriers in their communities. So I am super excited and hyped to take that back to my local community in Lansing, across the state of Michigan, and to really engage in some dope conversation with folks all across the country inside of Black Lives Matter chapters about how we support that energy of youth organizing and transformation. Because the other thing that I picked up on is this is not just a movement, a moment. This is a movement. This is the MBK movement. How do we come together and actually elevate and support young Black men, and I mean all the way from middle school, like we're doing here in Michigan, from 12 to 25. So I'm bringing it all back, from the mayors, from the corporations, from philanthropy, everyone who has actually spoken about their commitments on the ground, in the systems, all across institutions to really build that cross-sector engagement and cross-sector partnership. And I'm really excited about how we mobilize students, parents, and teachers to be those agents of change in our communities. My name is Angela Waters Austin, and I am MBK.
Good afternoon, MBK Nation. My name is Vondell Singleton. I'm the founder and CEO of the Champs Male Mentoring Program. That's right, headquartered on the south side of Chicago. I'm representing MBK Chicago. Listen, I attended a couple sessions, made a couple networking rounds, listened keenly to experts in the field, including our fearless leader, President Obama. Yes, we were reverberated with the sound from DJ Omi, and I personally, listen, have been inspired to reflect, to re-engage, and to re-energize around removing barriers and providing safe spaces for boys and young men of color. We have to have constant, consistent, and courageous conversations, not just with policymakers, but with the youth that we're impacting. So when I tell you I'm all in, I'm all in. And remember, you are born to win in every situation in life. So we are changing trajectories. And listen, I want everybody to know that you have an opportunity at this to take whatever you got from this MBK Leadership Forum. Is nothing like this in the nation, where we are galvanizing energy, right, to impact boys and young men of color. So listen, I want to give a shout out to the MBK Nation. Hey, type it in the chat if you with me. Where you repping? Type it in the chat so we can feel that energy, right? And listen, I'm all in. I am Vondell Singleton. I'm my brother's keeper. Peace.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Broderick Johnson. and I was the chair of the My Brother's Keeper Task Force in the Obama White House. And for several years, I've had the privilege of serving as chair of the MBK Alliance Advisory Council. I can't tell you how special it feels to be here today, listening to these extraordinary stories of impact from MBK communities from all across the United States, and the reflections that we have heard from so many people over the past 2 days. So there I was sitting in the East Room of the White House in February 2014, when President Obama stood in front of an overflowing crowd, which included the parents of Trayvon Martin, Jordan Davis, and Michael Brown, to sign the presidential memorandum that created the MBK Task Force. A presidential memorandum speaks to how significant it is and continues to be to President Obama. At the end of his remarks that day, the president said the following, quote, "We need to give every child, no matter what they look like, where they live, the chance to reach their full potential. Because if we do, then not only will they contribute to the growth and prosperity of this country, but they will pass those lessons on to their children, on to their grandchildren. They will start a new cycle, a different cycle, and this country will be richer and stronger for it for generations to come." Over these past 2 days, we've seen that new cycle in action. We've seen the promise of richer and stronger generations to come. We see it in Jacob and Anthony, who spoke with so much courage during the session with President Obama yesterday. We see it in Julio and Benny, who represent the hundreds, yes, hundreds of MBK community leaders working tirelessly to open doors of opportunity for our children and their families. I saw and heard that promise last week, very personally, when I got a call from Isaac Bryan, who I first met several years ago when he was a young community organizer and activist helping to launch MBK LA County. Well, Isaac called me the other day to tell me he had just been elected as one of the youngest members ever to the California State Assembly. That's leadership. I see that promise in the face of Alejandro and Senegal, two young men that we've watched grow up over the years, transitioning from student leaders to organizational leaders and community leaders, creating opportunities for the next generation. And let me say this, as a proud son of the great city of Baltimore, I see that promise in Mayor Brandon Scott, whose wit and wisdom and passion was on display today, making it crystal clear why the people of Baltimore elected him to be one of their youngest mayors in that city's history. He went from working for a mayor to serving as a city council member and president to becoming the chief executive of the city and its hundreds of thousands of residents. Mayor Scott is the embodiment of narrative change and exemplifies the promise and the possibility of boys and young men of color that we work so tirelessly for each and every day. And Mayor Jones of St. Louis, I am so ecstatic that you are leading that city. You mentioned in your comments earlier today that Baltimore and St. Louis are indeed very similar cities with similar histories and similar challenges. I saw those similarities and those challenges firsthand. For several years, I would visit St. Louis on a regular basis as one of the few Black partners at a leading St. Louis law firm, the firm of Brian Cave. I am so heartened that both Mayors Scott and Jones are committed to strong MBK communities in their cities that need that kind of leadership, and leadership demonstrated by everyone who's participated in these sessions. So I'll say this myself, and I'll say this on behalf of the members of our great MBK Advisory Council. I am Broderick Johnson. I will always be my brother's keeper. I am, and I will always be my sons and daughters' keeper, my sister's keeper. And I have no prouder professional title than to serve as chairman of the MBK Alliance and to work alongside and on behalf of each and every one of you. Thank you all. And thank you, and a special shout out to Michael Smith and his incredible team at the MBK Alliance. Thank you very much.
Wow. I'm energized to know it has been an impactful 2 days for everybody. To build on this momentum, let's hear from the folks supporting MBK Los Angeles County to learn about how they have addressed justice reform, amplify the work of community partners, and impacted the lives of young people across the county. LA, take it away.
My name is David Turner. I'm the manager of the Brother Son Selves Coalition. We're a coalition of 9 community-based organizations who do organizing and advocacy work with boys and young men of color across Los Angeles County.
Hello, I'm Angela Johnson Peters, and I have the honor and privilege of being the Associate Director of Programs and Development for the Social Justice Learning Institute.
My name is Kevin Miles. I'm a program assistant at Brotherhood Crusade.
Unlock Justice is an initiative, right, to use youth organizing as a tool to fundamentally transform systems that directly affect boys and young men of color in particular, but all young people and communities of color more broadly, right? So one of the things that we've been able to do is we've been able to work collaboratively with partners such as the Youth Justice Coalition, LA Youth Uprising Coalition, right? And all kinds of other partners to move funding away from probation and move it directly into services and programs for young people. We've been able to move like resources away from punishing youth. We've been able to change policies that punish young people, and we've been able to invest in policies and practices that invest in young people and their futures, right? So while we're also talking about the programs and practices that help to improve the lives of boys and young men of color, another thing that we've been able to do here in LA, and something I'm particularly proud of, is we've been able to change the systems so that way we can get at the root causes of these issues.
We here at SJLI are part of the Bloom Initiative, and the MBK was essential in supporting the expansion of the Bloom Initiative to several school districts in Los Angeles County. So with support of MBK, we expanded to Antelope Valley. We went deeper into the Los Angeles Unified School District. We also expanded to several other school districts to Long Beach throughout Los Angeles County. We were also able to increase the number of students that Bloom serves. Bloom is focused on changing the life trajectories of young men of color throughout Los Angeles County, and that is through our school-based educational programs, as well as wraparound service and a myriad of student activities, both in and outside of the classroom. The Bloom Alliance expansion also involved several key partners, not only the Social Justice Learning Institute and Brotherhood Crusade, but also Los Angeles County, the Los Angeles County Office of Education, and many school districts that we partnered with to increase the number of students that we're serving. So MBK and support was essential in being able to build out the expansion throughout Los Angeles County. And we are very grateful for the support.
Before I got into Brotherhood Crusade, I was watching my friends get suspended. Some, if they were lucky enough, went on to continuation schools. Others, unfortunately, if the streets didn't get them, then the prisons did. One in particular, a good friend and teammate of mine, was suspended from school due to willful defiance, and they successfully kept him from school from the remainder of the year. During that time, I didn't even know what a system was, but once I was a part of Brotherhood Crusade, and they were awarded by my Brother's Keepers Alliance, they were able to broaden my mind and teach me about the systems that were in place to keep people that look like me down. I didn't do this because I wanted a job. I did this because I wanted to be exposed to what it means to be an agent of my community.
I am my brother's keeper.
I am my brother's keeper.
I am my brother's keeper.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael Smith, and I am My Brother's Keeper. My Brother's Keeper is proud to lead President Obama's call to action to build safe and supportive communities where boys and young men of color feel valued and have clear pathways to opportunity. Since the My Brother's Keeper Alliance became an initiative of the Obama Foundation, we've been proud to double down on what our MBK communities told us they needed most, what you told us you needed most. We've created new tools and technical assistance to strengthen the network and the leaders at its heart. We've launched campaigns to mobilize individuals and institutions like our Reimagining Policing Pledge. And we've made investments in the evidence-based solutions and high-performing organizations to accelerate impact and scale what works. The disproportionate impact of the pandemic and police violence on communities of color that we've seen this past year has been a heartbreaking reminder of why President Obama launched My Brother's Keeper 7 years ago. Systemic racism shatters dreams, communities, and lives. And far too often, boys and young men of color and their families are at the center of this vicious cycle. In the face of so much uncertainty and overwhelming obstacles, My Brother's Keeper communities and your organizations did not back down. You did not slow down. You began serving meals, delivering food, handing out PPE and literature, creating mutual aid networks, helping to organize and support calls to action against police violence, and so much more. On top of that, you were violence interrupters, you were mentors, you were coaches, you were teachers, you were healers, you were organizers, you were activists, doing whatever it takes to meet the needs of our kids and communities while tackling the systems that prevent too many tomorrows. The MBK Equity Framework is a part of that work. And what we are committed to doing is continuing to spotlight, lift up, and invest in organizations and communities like yours. Efforts that are rooted in evidence and laser focused on digging to the root and planting seeds that will grow trees and whose shade we know we may never sit. Planting seeds that will grow trees and whose shade we know we may never sit. So the MBK Equity Framework is a tool that's going to help you sharpen your approach and build local MBK alliances that unite diverse stakeholders to bring about lasting change and reforms. So please welcome my sister, my colleague, Dr. Chanel Hampton, to give you a brief overview of what's coming next and the resources that will help you along your journey. Dr. Hampton, over to you.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon, everyone. Good day. Your commitment to and love for boys and young men of color brought you to the MBK Leadership Forum. Over the last 2 days, we've convened, learning, deeply reflecting, celebrating, and dancing. As our 2 days together come to a close, there's action to be taken. There's action to continue. We're ecstatic to release the MBK Equity Framework. We hope that you review, read, and dig in deeply and share this tool. Our certification pre-assessment will be available for communities soon. 4 questions, 1 assessment, 1 community. We're also launching MBK University and our MBK Network platform. So let's dig in a little bit deeper to some of the tools and information that you all will be seeing shortly in your inboxes. The MBK Equity Framework is a tool that helps you and your community dig deep into the key elements that help us to deepen, scale, and strengthen our efforts alongside our boys and young men of color. Review and read this tool with your local MBK community leaders. Share this tool with others in your community and region, leading mission-driven efforts to help them dig deeper into their work. And next, we have the certification pre-assessment. This assessment is brief, 4 questions, 1 assessment, 1 community. Your respective MBK community lead will complete this on behalf of your entire MBK community. By taking this assessment, you will have a greater understanding of the gauge of where your work is as it relates to boys and young men of color, and we will know how best to support you as an MBK community. The ultimate goal is for each of our communities to become a certified MBK community. This 4-question pre-assessment is a step in that direction. And next, we're so excited to announce our MBK University courses. Depending on your pre-assessment responses, you will be guided to one of 3 tracks of MBKU. For communities who are new to this work, we will look forward to seeing you in onboarding. For communities completing the 4 steps of our MBK Community Challenge, which includes many of you joining us here today from across the country, we look forward to seeing you at MBKU 101. And for communities who have completed the MBK Community Challenge and you're working on a daily basis being led by your North Star, which is your MBK Local Action Plan, we're eager to see you at MBKU 201, which will take a deeper dive into our framework. Lastly, we are ecstatic to announce our MBK Network platform. This platform will be a central location where you can access resources, engage in courses, and have space to find and connect with other MBK communities. MBK communities that have completed the pre-assessment that I mentioned, one assessment, one community, will gain access to the MBK Network platform. We can't wait to see you online. And just a couple more pieces. In addition to our learning and development and our network, we want to continue to spotlight your success. So a couple additional benefits that we will certainly continue to lead here at the MBK Alliance include spotlights on success, our local support, and MBK swag. And so we know that as we continue to be in the midst of COVID, we're trying to get creative with how we support you all. Virtual convenings, our MBK network, recognition, and continuing to lift up the powerful work that each of you are doing. I'll just put in there a tease that we want you to complete that pre-assessment certification because you'll get access to the network. And by having access to the network platform, we're excited for you to submit more stories about the work happening in your communities each day so that we can lift that up, celebrate you, and celebrate your boys and young men of color in your community. Michael, I'll pass it back over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Hampton. I realized at the beginning I said, this is my sister and my colleague. I'm looking at us side by side on the screen, and I'm like, people might be thinking, is that really his sister? So only my sister from another mister, but so proud to call her my sister and my colleague. I just want to take a minute to say thank you. This leadership forum has been weeks and months in the making, and it has taken an extraordinary combination effort of folks from the Obama Foundation, My Brother's Keeper Alliance, our production team at Weymouth Watson, Praxis Institute, strategic community partners, and I just want to say thank you so much to all of them for the work that they did. And again, throw it in the chat and just say thank you to these extraordinary colleagues that I am proud to not only call colleagues and friends. I also just want to share one special shout out. There was a woman who was the brainchild behind all of this, who was leading this boulder up the hill. And then she had to go because she actually had her own business. And I kept begging her to stay and begging her to stay, but finally her business kept calling. And I just want to send a special shout out to Nicole Fields, who was our Deputy Director of MBK Alliance for Network and Partnerships, who put in a labor of love and I believe is still with us today. So give a virtual applause to Nicole Fields. And when Nicole left, we couldn't just replace her with one person. So Rachel Reynolds, the Foundation's Director of Events, along with Beverly Brooks, my Deputy Director who leads our strategy and operations team, and Stephen and Tere, from Stephen Rosado and Tere from Praxis Institute. It took all of us coming together to make up the leadership body to work alongside this incredible group of people that you see pictured on the slide. The second slide here is our MBK Equity Framework Committee. There's that great African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I can testify that we did not go fast. It took some time. But I am so proud that we joined with more than 8 national organizations, all who care about this work of creating place-based infrastructure for boys and young men of color and their families to put together this MBK Equity Framework, which I know is going to be an extraordinary tool to push you to the next level of your work. So again, please join me in thanking all of these extraordinary people for their extraordinary work. So before we get to our final closing activities, let's go ahead and give some love to the Empire State with our final community shout out montage. New York, let's hear from you.
What's going on, y'all? I am Dr. Mahali Bethia. And I am George Patterson. And we represent the 5 boroughs of the Big Apple, the city that never sleeps, the home of hip-hop and New York-style pizza, New York City. George, let the people know how we here in New York City are transforming lives, breaking down barriers, and building dreams for the young men of New York City.
We are breaking barriers with our district partnerships,
building dreams with our mentoring program and transforming the lives of our Black and brown students here in New York City with our internships, all with a focus on radical love, healing-centered pedagogy, racial literacy on a foundation of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Thank you so much, George. That is what we're doing here in New York City with New York City MBK. Shout out to all 5 boroughs of New York City and all MBK communities across the state and across our nation.
We are NYC MBK. I am my brother's keeper.
Hi, my name is Ray Milese. I'm from the flower city of Rochester, New York. In the past 11 months, we have refocused our vision for MBK to provide direct programming to boys and young men of color. In an MBK meeting, one member said, "Build it and they will come." So we did just that. We created innovative programs that range from sneaker creation, coding, app development, rites of passage, peer mentorship, leadership development, workforce development, but with a focus on skilled trades. We are breaking barriers and building dreams, transforming the lives of our young men here in Rochester, New York, one success at a time. I am my brother's keeper.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Jim Bostic. I am the Executive Director of Nepperhan Community Center here in the city of Yonkers, New York. And our agency representing the city of Yonkers is an MBK Community Challenge Impact Award recipient. Our MBK movement is breaking barriers and building bridges through improving our graduation rates among boys of color by over 20%, cutting suspension lists in half, sending record numbers of our students to HBCUs, engaging our boys and young men of color in peaceful protests against racial inequality, and helping to create and have ratified by our city council a reimagining policing and police reform policy for the city of Yonkers. The young men sitting beside me are just a few of several hundred of young men in the city of Yonkers that have benefited from one of the greatest collaborations between government, led by our mayor, Mike Spano, our school systems, led by our school superintendent, Dr. Edwin Casada, and myself, the community leader, Dr. Jim Bostic.
You know, Dr. Bostic, community leaders matter. And our mentors matter too.
And MBK matter, that's why.
We are our brother's keeper, Yonkers.
We are all brothers keep. We did it, fam. It has been a pleasure to be in this space with you over these past 2 days, hearing from community leaders. Just yesterday, yes, it was just yesterday, we started this, but we wouldn't be here if not for all of the selfless, tireless, loving work that you do in all of your communities every single day. We are all our brother's keeper.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Senegal. Thank you to the entire MBK Alliance and Obama Foundation team, the National League of Cities, Bloomberg Associates, and every person who joined this event for making it as powerful as it was. Before we break for networking and some of my beats from DJ Omid, my favorite DJ, please welcome Macpia Black Elk, representing MBK New Mexico, who will close us out with a native prayer song.
Ha mitakiapi, chante washte na pe choose below, Macpia Black Elk machiapi, Malakota. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Macpia. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge my elders in the room and say, forgive me for speaking out of turn. I'd like to acknowledge the land, the ancestors, and the next generation. I pray to the West, Wiochpeata, for our ancestors, for the sunset, for the Thunder Nation. To the North, Waziata, to our plant nations and our plant medicines. To the East, Wiochiampata, for the sunrise, for our animal relatives. To the South, Itogataka, for our water and for those creatures who call it home. To the sky above, to grandmother below, and to the spirit we carry within. I'd just like to acknowledge that before we start. I'm honored to share a song of my people, a sun dance song, a ceremony that we have during solstice, to carry us forward throughout the year, to give us strength so that we may serve our people, to serve the community. The song I'd like to sing you says, Tunkashila, Wamayankayo, Lemiecha Tehechea, Nawajielo. To my ancestors, see me, I'm standing here, having a hard time. Unchimaka Nawajichena, Wo Wakwala, Yuhawa Uelo. For Grandmother Earth, I stand here, and I come in a humble way. Unche makana weje janaya wo wakwala yuhawa uelohe Tonkashela wa mayankayo le miecha te chea na wajelohe Unche makana weje chenaya wo wakwala yuhawa uelo hey yo. Tungashil, I pray for all of our relations to have the strength to do the work we need to do. May we be grounded in the prayers of our ancestors. May we stand for our grandmother Earth. May we stand for all children who are victims to poverty, hunger, war, violence, and abuse. May we stand for our elders, our brothers, our sons, our fathers. And may we stand for our mothers, sisters, daughters, and non-binary relatives. May balance be restored. May balance be restored. All of my relations. Aho, Nitaku ye, Oyasin.